Why do some people rise above the crowd while others just blend into the noise? It's not luck. It's not talent handed to them on a silver platter. It's the choice to learn something new every single day. That's the edge. That's the difference between the 1% who shape their lives with purpose and the 99% who drift, content with good enough. You want to stand out? You want to live a life that feels alive, vibrant, purposeful? Then make this decision right now. Commit to educating yourself every day. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because every moment you delay, you're handing your advantage to someone else. Think about this for a second. What's one thing you learned yesterday? Go ahead, shout it out. Could be a fact, a skill, a better way to handle a conversation, anything. Got it? Now, what if you made that a habit? What if every single day you added one new piece of knowledge, one new insight, one new ability to your arsenal? That's not just growth, that's power. That's you building a foundation that nobody can take away. The world is moving fast, and if you're not learning, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. The 99%, they're comfortable, they're satisfied with what they already know. They think, I've got my degree, my job, my routine, I'm set. But comfort is a trap. It's a slow fade into irrelevance. You though, you're different. You're here because you know there's more. You feel that hunger to grow, to sharpen your mind, to carve out a life that's extraordinary. Let's talk about what daily learning really means. It's not about cramming for a test or chasing a certificate to hang on your wall. It's about treating your mind like a muscle. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be strong for life, do you? Same with your brain. Every day you've got to work it, stretch it, challenge it. Read a page from a book that pushes your thinking. Listen to a conversation that sparks a new idea. Watch a craftsman at work and ask, how do they do that? It's the small, deliberate acts of learning that stack up. One page today, another tomorrow, and in a year you've devoured a dozen books. One question today, another tomorrow, and suddenly you're seeing the world with clearer eyes. That's the magic of compounding. Knowledge builds on itself. A single insight today might seem small, but it's a seed. Water it daily, and it grows into something massive, something unshakable. Now let me ask you, how many of you have ever felt overwhelmed by how much there is to learn? Raise your hand. Be honest. It's okay, that feeling. It's normal. The world's full of information. Books, ideas, skills, philosophies. But here's the secret. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than you did yesterday. Start small. Pick one thing. Maybe it's how to manage your time better. Maybe it's understanding the basics of investing. Maybe it's learning how to listen. Really listen when someone's talking. Whatever it is, grab it, study it, make it yours, then move to the next thing. That's how you build momentum. That's how you outpace the 99% who are too busy, too distracted, or too lazy to bother. Let's get practical for a moment. How do you make daily learning a habit? First, carve out time. Not hours, minutes. 10 minutes in the morning to read something worthwhile. 5 minutes at lunch to reflect on a new idea. You've got time. It's about priorities. Second, choose quality over quantity. One good book is worth 100 shallow articles. Find sources that challenge you, that make you think, that add real value. Third, act on what you learn. Knowledge isn't power until you use it. Learn a better way to communicate. Try it in your next conversation. Learn a principle of leadership. Test it with your team. Action turns ideas into results, and results fuel your hunger to learn more. But here's where it gets real. Daily learning isn't just about skills or facts. It's about who you're becoming. Every time you learn something new, you're sculpting yourself. You're chiseling away the rough edges, refining your character, sharpening your vision. The 99%, they're coasting. They're letting life shape them. Circumstances, excuses, habits they never question. But you're the architect. You're choosing to build a mind that's curious, resilient, alive. And that's what sets you apart. That's what makes people look at you and wonder, how do they do it? How do they stay so sharp, so focused, so ahead of the game? Now let's talk about the cost of not learning. It's not just about missing out on opportunities, though you will. It's about the slow erosion of your potential. Picture a garden. If you don't tend it, what happens? Weeds creep in, the flowers wilt, the soil hardens. That's what happens to a mind that stops learning. It doesn't stay the same. It decays. The 99% don't see it coming. They wake up one day and realize they're stuck, out of touch. irrelevant. And the worst part, they don't even know why. Don't let that be you. Choose the harder path. Choose to water your mind every day. Choose to pull the weeds of doubt and distraction. Choose to grow. What's one area of your life where you want to be better? Go ahead, say it out loud. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your health. Whatever it is, there's knowledge out there waiting for you. Knowledge that can change everything. But you've got to go get it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to force you to read, to study, to grow. That's on you. And that's the beauty of it. Your growth, your edge, your future, it's in your hands. The 99% wait for permission, for the perfect moment, for someone to show them the way. The 1%, they start now, they learn now, they act now. Let's talk about the long game. Daily learning isn't just about today or tomorrow. It's about a decade from now. Think about where you could be in 10 years if you commit to this. Let's do the math. One new insight a day, 365 days a year. For 10 years, that's over 3,600 insights, 3,600 moments where you got better, smarter, stronger. Now imagine the 99% doing the same thing they've always done, learning nothing new, growing, not at all. Who's going to win? Who's going to be living a life of purpose, impact, and freedom? It's not even close. That's the power of daily learning. It's not flashy, it's not instant, but it's unstoppable. Here's a challenge for you. Right now, in this moment, decide one thing you're going to learn today. Make it specific. Maybe it's a new word to expand your vocabulary. Maybe it's a principle of negotiation you can use at work. Maybe it's a question to ask someone wiser than you. Whatever it is, commit to it. Write it down if you can. Say to yourself, today, I'm going to learn this, and then do it. That's how you start. That's how you build the habit. That's how you separate yourself from the 99% who talk about change, but never make it happen. Now, let's be honest. Learning every day isn't always easy. There are days when you're tired, when life gets in the way, when you just don't feel like it. But those are the days that matter most. Those are the days when the 99% give up, and the 1% push through. Discipline isn't about feeling motivated. It's about doing the work anyway. It's about saying, I don't care how I feel. I'm going to learn something today, because that's who I am. That's the mindset that builds an edge. That's the mindset that makes you unstoppable. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Picture someone who's mastered daily learning. They walk into a room, and you can feel their presence. They're not loud or flashy, but they're sharp. They ask questions that make you think. They share insights that make you see things differently. They solve problems others can't, because they've spent years building their mind. That's not an accident. That's the result of thousands of small choices. Choices to learn, to grow, to never settle. You can be that person. You are that person, if you choose to be. Every day is a chance to get closer to that vision. Now let's address the doubters in your head. You know the ones, the first that say, I'm too old to learn, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't have the time. Those are lies. They're excuses the 99% use to justify staying still. You're never too old. Learning keeps you young. You're never too busy. 5 minutes a day can change your life. And as for being smart enough, the only requirement is hunger. If you want to grow, you will. If you want to learn, you'll find a way. The 99% let those win. The 1% tell them to shut up and get to work. Let's talk about the reward. Because daily learning isn't just about hard work, it's about joy. There's a thrill in understanding something new. There's a spark when you connect two ideas for the first time. There's a deep satisfaction in knowing you're becoming better. Not just for yourself, but for the people you love, the people you lead, the people you serve. That's what this is about. It's about living a life that's rich, full, meaningful. The 99% chase quick fixes, money, status, distractions. The 1% chase growth. And in the end, they get everything else too, because a sharp mind attracts opportunities like a magnet. Here's something to think about. What's the cost of staying where you are? If you don't commit to daily learning, where will you be in a year? In 5 years, will you be proud of that person? Or will you look back and wish you'd started sooner? The 99% don't ask those questions. They avoid them. But you're not them. You're here right now because you want more. So take that desire and turn it into action. Make daily learning your non-negotiable. Make it your identity. Say to yourself, I am someone who learns every day. I am someone who grows. I am someone who will not settle. Let's wrap this up with the truth. Your mind is your greatest asset, not your bank account, not your job, not your circumstances, your mind. And every day you get to choose what to do with it. You can let it coast, like the 99%, or you can sharpen it, like the 1%. The path isn't easy, but it's simple. Learn something new every day. Act on it, build on it, and watch what happens. You'll start to see the world differently. You'll start to see yourself differently. And before long, you'll look around and realize you're not just keeping up, you're leading. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. That's the power of daily learning. That's your edge. And it all starts with the choice you make today. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the person who learns, who grows, who stays ahead? Or are you going to let another day slip by? The answer's in your hands. But let me tell you something. If you want to be exceptional, if you want to live a life that inspires others, it's not enough to know. You've got to keep asking. You've got to keep seeking. You've got to keep pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible. That's where the real growth happens. That's where you find the questions that change everything. What's the one question you've been afraid to ask? Go ahead, think about it. Maybe it's something about your work, your relationships, or even yourself. Say it in your mind. Got it? Now why haven't you asked it? Fear of looking foolish, worry you'll be judged. That's where most people stop. That's where the 99% draw the line and settle for what they already know. But you're not here to settle. You're here to push, to grow, to master the art of curiosity. Because curiosity, real, relentless curiosity, is the spark that lights up your mind. It's the key to asking better questions. And better questions lead to better answers. Better answers lead to a better life. That's the path to staying ahead. Not just today, but for the rest of your days. We talked about daily learning as your competitive edge. How those small, deliberate acts of growth compound into something unstoppable. But learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It starts with a question, a spark, a moment where you say, why does this work this way? Or what if I tried something different? Curiosity is the fuel. Without it, you're just going through the motions, reading books, listening to experts, but never really growing. The 99%, they're content with answers handed to them. They take the world at face value. But the 1%, they question everything. They dig, they poke, they refuse to accept that's just how it is. And that's what makes them extraordinary. Let's get real for a second. When was the last time you asked a question that made you uncomfortable? Shout it out. Maybe it was asking for feedback at work. Maybe it was questioning a habit you've had for years. Or maybe you haven't done it in a while. That's okay. But here's the truth. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. Weak questions get you weak answers. Why am I always tired? Might lead you to a nap. But what habits can I build to have more energy? That's a question that changes your health, your focus, your future. The 99% ask surface-level questions. If they ask at all, the 1% ask questions that cut to the core. They're not afraid to challenge assumptions, to look foolish, to admit they don't know. And that's where the magic happens. Think about the greatest minds in history. What set them apart? They weren't smarter than everyone else. They were more curious. They asked questions others didn't. Why does an apple fall to the ground? What makes the stars move? How can we make life better? Those questions weren't just random thoughts. They were the seeds of breakthroughs. And you don't need to be a genius to do the same. You just need to be curious. You need to look at the world and say, what don't I understand? What can I learn? What's possible? That's how you stay ahead. That's how you outpace the 99% who are too busy, too proud, or too scared to ask. So how do you master this art of curiosity? First, start with a mindset. There's always more to know. The 99% think they've got it figured out. They've got their routine, their beliefs, their way of doing things. But the 1%, they're humble. They know the world is bigger than their understanding. They walk into every situation, assuming there's something to learn. Try it. Next time you're in a conversation, don't just wait for your turn to talk. Listen for something new. Next time you're faced with a problem, don't just react. Ask, What's really going on here? That shift in mindset opens doors you didn't even know existed. Now let's talk about asking better questions. What makes a question powerful? It's specific. It's purposeful. It challenges the status quo. Instead of asking, why is my business struggling? Ask, what one change could I make to attract more customers? Instead of asking, why am I so stressed? Ask, what's one habit I can start to feel more in control? See the difference? Better questions force you to think. They push you toward action. They cut through the fog and give you clarity. And here's the best part. You don't need to be an expert to ask them. You just need to be curious enough to try. Let's make this practical. How do you build curiosity into your life? Start with what's around you. Look at your work. What's one thing you've always accepted without questioning? Maybe it's a process, a rule, a way of doing things. Ask, why do we do it this way? Is there a better way? Look at your relationships. What's one thing you assume about someone close to you? Ask, what's something I don't know about them? Look at yourself. What's one belief you've held for years? Ask, is this still true? These questions don't just spark curiosity, they spark growth. They make you see the world with fresh eyes. And that's what separates you from the 99% who never bother to look. Here's a challenge. What's one question you're going to ask today? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Make it bold. Make it something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's asking your boss for honest feedback. Maybe it's asking a friend what they really think about something important. Maybe it's asking yourself why you keep avoiding that one goal. Whatever it is, commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, today, I'm going to ask this, and then do it. That's how you start. That's how you train your curiosity. That's how you build the habit of asking better questions. Now let's talk about the barriers, because curiosity isn't always easy. There's a reason the 99% don't ask questions. They're afraid. Afraid of looking ignorant. Afraid of being wrong. Afraid of what the answer might reveal. How many of you have held back a question because you didn't want to seem clueless? Raise your hand. It's okay. We've all done it. But here's the truth. The only way to grow is to admit you don't know. The 1% aren't fearless. They're just more committed to growth than to their ego. They'd rather look foolish for a moment than stay ignorant for a lifetime. So next time you're hesitant to ask, remind yourself, a question is a step forward. Silence is a step back. Another barrier? Distraction. The 99% are so caught up in the noise of life, endless tasks, mindless habits, constant busyness, that they don't have time to be curious. But you're different. You can choose to slow down. You can choose to notice. Take 5 minutes today to just think. Ask yourself, what's one thing I've never questioned? Or walk outside and look at something, a tree, a building, a person, and ask, what's the story here? Those moments of curiosity don't just refresh you, they rewire you. They make you sharper, more engaged, more alive. Let's talk about the world we live in. It's changing fast, faster than ever. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. The 99%. They're clinging to old answers, old ways of thinking. But the 1%? They're adaptable. They're curious. They're asking, what's next? What do I need to know? How can I stay ahead? That's why curiosity isn't just a nice to have. It's a survival skill. If you're not questioning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. It's that simple. So make curiosity your weapon. Use it to navigate change. Use it to find opportunities where others see obstacles. What's one area of your life where you feel stuck? Go ahead. Think about it. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your own mindset. Now what's one question you could ask to get unstuck? Say it to yourself. Maybe it's, what's one skill I could learn to move forward? Or what's one conversation I need to have? Or what's holding me back? That question is your lifeline. It's your way out of the rut. The 99% stay stuck because they don't ask. The 1% break free because they do. Let's talk about the joy of curiosity, because this isn't just about hard work. It's about wonder. There's a thrill in asking a question and chasing the answer. There's a spark when you realize you've been looking at something wrong your whole life. There's a deep satisfaction in knowing you're not just accepting the world, you're engaging with it. That's what curiosity does. It turns life into an adventure. The 99%, they're bored, they're checked out, they're going through the motions. But the 1%, they're alive. They're curious. They're asking questions that make every day feel new. Here's something to consider. What's the cost of not being curious? If you stop asking questions, what happens? Your mind gets lazy. Your world gets small. You start accepting things that don't serve you. Habits, beliefs, situations. The 99% don't see it happening. They drift into a life of routine, of sameness, of regret. But you're not here for that. You're here to grow, to expand, to become. So choose curiosity. Choose to ask. Choose to seek. Because every question you ask is a step toward a bigger, better, bolder life. Let's get practical again. How do you train yourself to ask better questions? Start by listening. Really listening. Next time you're in a conversation, don't just nod. Ask something that digs deeper. Why do you think that? Or what led you to that decision? Those questions don't just keep the conversation going. They teach you something. Next, expose yourself to new ideas. Read a book outside your comfort zone. Talk to someone who thinks differently. Ask, what's one thing I can learn from this? Finally, reflect. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I learn today? What question did I ask? What question should I ask tomorrow? That habit alone will transform you. Now let's address the doubters in your head. The that say, I'm not curious enough, or I don't know how to ask good questions. What's the point? Those are lies. Curiosity isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. You don't need to be a scholar or a philosopher. You just need to start. Ask one question today. Make it simple. Make it real. And then ask another tomorrow. The 99% let those win. The 1% tell them to shut up and get curious. Let's talk about the long game. Curiosity isn't just about today. It's about who you'll be in 10 years. Imagine a decade of asking better questions. Thousands of moments where you challenged, sought, learned. Now imagine the 99% accepting the same old answers, never questioning, never growing. Who's going to be living a life of impact? Who's going to be solving problems, creating opportunities, inspiring others? It's not even close. That's the power of curiosity. It's not instant, it's not flashy, but it's unstoppable. Here's a final challenge. What's one question you're going to ask this week that scares you a little? Go ahead, say it out loud. Make it bold. Make it something that could change how you see yourself or the world. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, this week, I'm going to ask this, and then do it. That's how you master curiosity. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you become someone who doesn't just live life. You shape it.
So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the person who asks, who seeks, who grows, or are you going to let another day go by without questioning? The choice is yours. But let me tell you something. If you want to stay ahead, if you want to live a life that's rich and meaningful, curiosity is just the start. It's the spark. But to keep that fire burning, you need a system. You need a way to turn curiosity into results. Day after day, year after year. That's where the real work begins. That's where you build a life that's not just good, but extraordinary. How do you turn curiosity into a way of life? You've got the spark, the hunger to learn, the courage to ask better questions. But a spark alone won't keep you ahead of the 99%. It's not enough to want to grow. You need a system, a plan, a way to make learning as automatic as breathing. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The 99%, they rely on random bursts of motivation, hoping inspiration will strike. The 1%, they build a personal learning system, a deliberate, disciplined approach to growth that keeps them sharp, adaptable, and unstoppable. You want to stay ahead? You need a system that turns your curiosity into results, day after day for the rest of your life. We've talked about daily learning as your edge and curiosity as the spark that fuels it. But without structure, those things fade. Think about it. How many times have you started something with excitement, only to let it fizzle out? Raise your hand if that's happened to you. Be honest. It's okay. That's where most people get stuck. The 99% chase fleeting moments of inspiration, but the 1% build systems that make growth inevitable. A personal learning system isn't flashy. It's not complicated. It's a set of habits, routines, and choices that ensure you're always moving forward, no matter what life throws at you. So what does a personal learning system look like? It starts with time.
You've got to carve out space for growth every single day, not hours, minutes. 10 minutes in the morning to read a book that challenges your thinking. 5 minutes at lunch to reflect on a question you asked. A few moments before bed to jot down what you learned. Sounds simple? It is. But the 99% don't do it. They say, I'm too busy, or I'll get to it tomorrow. But you're different. You know time isn't something you find, it's something you make. So what's one time slot you can commit to learning today? Go ahead, say it out loud. Maybe it's 7 a.m. Maybe it's your commute. Pick it. Own it. That's the first piece of your system. Now let's talk about what you're learning. A system isn't about consuming information blindly. It's about choosing quality over quantity. One good book is worth 100 shallow articles. One thoughtful conversation is worth a dozen distractions. Pick resources that push you, that make you think, that add real value to your life. Want to grow as a leader? Read about great leaders. Want to improve your health? Study nutrition or exercise. Want to understand yourself better? Pick up a book on philosophy or psychology. The key is to be intentional. The 99% wander aimlessly, skimming whatever's in front of them. The 1%, they choose with purpose. They build a library of ideas that shape who they are and who they're becoming. Here's where it gets practical. How do you decide what to learn? Start with your goals. What's one thing you want to achieve in the next year? Shout it out. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a stronger relationship. Maybe it's peace of mind. Whatever it is, there's knowledge out there to help you get it. Break it down. If your goal is a better career, what skills do you need? If it's a better relationship, what do you need to understand about communication or empathy? Your system should align with your goals. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every question you ask, it's all building towards something bigger. That's how you stay focused. That's how you avoid getting overwhelmed by the endless sea of information out there. Now let's talk about balance. A good learning system doesn't just go deep, it goes wide. You need to specialize. Sure, if you're a carpenter, master your craft. If you're a teacher, know your subject inside out. But don't stop there. The 99% get tunnel vision. They know one thing and nothing else. The 1%, they're versatile. They study history to understand human nature. They read poetry to sharpen their emotions. They learn a bit about science, art, economics, because they know the world is connected. A carpenter who understands psychology builds better relationships with clients. A teacher who knows storytelling captivates her students. So what's one field outside your comfort zone you're curious about? Say it to yourself. Commit to learning one thing from it this week. That's how you build a mind that's not just sharp, but adaptable. Let's get to the tools of your system. Books are your foundation. Nothing beats the depth of a well-written book. Start with one. Read a page a day, if that's all you can manage. Conversations are another tool. Find people who know more than you, mentors, colleagues, even strangers, and ask them questions. Listen, take notes. Podcasts can work too, but choose ones that challenge you, not just entertain. And don't underestimate experience. Try something new, a skill, a hobby, a way of thinking, and learn from doing. The key is variety. Mix it up. One day read, the next listen, the next act. That's how you keep your system alive. That's how you keep growing. Here's a challenge. What's one resource you're going to add to your learning system this week? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Maybe it's a book you've been meaning to read. Maybe it's a person you need to talk to. Maybe it's a skill you want to practice. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, this week, I'm adding this to my system. That's how you start. That's how you make learning a habit. That's how you separate yourself from the 99% who talk about growth, but never build the structure to make it happen. Now let's talk about measuring progress. A system isn't just about input. It's about results. How do you know you're growing? One way is to teach. Take what you've learned and share it with someone else. Explain it. Break it down. Teaching forces you to clarify your understanding. Another way is to journal. At the end of each day, write down one thing you learned. It could be a fact, an insight, a question you ask. Over time, those entries become a record of your growth. They remind you how far you've come. And finally, test yourself. Apply what you've learned. If you studied negotiation, use it in a conversation. If you learned about health, try a new habit. Action is the ultimate measure. The 99% hoard knowledge and never use it. The 1%, they act, they experiment, they grow. Let's address the biggest excuse: time. How many of you have said, "I don't have time to learn"? Raise your hand. It's okay. We've all said it. But here's the truth. You don't need more time. You need better priorities. The 99% waste hours on distractions. Scrolling, binge watching, chasing things that don't matter. The 1%, they steal moments. 5 minutes while waiting for coffee. 10 minutes before bed. A conversation during lunch. You've got time. It's about choosing to use it. So let's make a deal. Today, find 10 minutes. Just 10. Use them to learn something new. Read a page. Ask a question. Reflect. 10 minutes a day, over a year, is 60 hours of growth. 60 hours the 99% will never get back. That's your edge.
Now let's talk about discipline. A system only works if you stick to it. There will be days when you're tired, when life feels heavy, when you just don't want to. Those are the days that matter most. The 99% give up when it gets hard. The 1% push through. Discipline isn't about feeling motivated. It's about doing the work anyway. It's about saying, I'm going to read this page, ask this question, learn this thing because that's who I am. That's the mindset that builds a system. That's the mindset that makes you unstoppable. Let's talk about what this looks like in action. Picture someone with a personal learning system. They're not flashy, but they're sharp. They walk into a room and you can feel their presence. They've got insights from books, stories from conversations, lessons from experience. They're not just keeping up, they're leading. They solve problems. Others can't because they've built a mind that's always growing. That's not an accident. That's the result of a system. Thousands of small choices to learn, to act, to reflect. You can be that person. You are that person. If you choose to be, every day is a chance to build that system stronger. Here's something to think about. What's the cost of not having a system? If you don't build one, where will you be in a year? In 5 years? Will you be proud of that person? Or will you look back and wish you'd been more intentional? The 99% don't ask those questions. They drift, hoping growth will happen on its own. But you're here because you want more. So take that desire and turn it into a system. Make learning your non-negotiable. Make it your identity. Say to yourself, I am someone who learns every day. I am someone who grows. I am someone who will not settle. Let's get practical one more time. Here's how you start your system today. Step 1. Pick a time. 10 minutes morning or night. Lock it in. Step 2. Choose one resource. A book, a person, an experience. Something that aligns with your goals. Step 3. Act. Read a page. Ask a question. Try something new. Step 4. Reflect. At the end of the day, write down what you learned. That's it. That's your system. Start small, but start. The 99% wait for the perfect plan, the perfect moment. The 1%, they begin. They adjust. They grow. Now let's address the doubters in your head. That say, I'm not organized enough, or I don't know where to start. What if I fail? Those are lies. The system doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work. You don't need to be a scholar. You don't need a fancy schedule. You just need to start. One page, one question, one moment of growth. The 99% let those win. The 1% tell them to shut up and get to work. Let's talk about the reward. Because a learning system isn't just about discipline, it's about freedom. Freedom to live a life that's rich, full, meaningful. When you build a system, you're not just collecting facts. You're building a mind that can handle anything. Problems become opportunities. Challenges become lessons. The world becomes a classroom. The 99%, they're stuck, reacting to life as it comes. The 1%, they're prepared. They're curious. They're ready. And that readiness attracts opportunities. Better careers, stronger relationships, deeper purpose. Here's a final challenge. What's one piece of your learning system you're going to build today? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Maybe it's setting a time to read. Maybe it's picking a book.
Maybe it's scheduling a conversation with someone wiser than you. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, today I'm starting this. That's how you build a system. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you become someone who doesn't just dream of growth. You live it. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the person who builds a system, who grows, who thrives? Or are you going to let another day slip by? The choice is yours. But let me tell you something. If you want to stay ahead, if you want to live a life that inspires others, a system is your foundation. It's the structure that holds your curiosity, your learning, your growth. But even the best system won't work if you don't face the obstacles head on. That's where the real test begins. That's where you prove you're not just part of the 99%. You're the 1%. What's stopping you from learning every single day? Think about it. Is it time? Doubt? Fear of failing? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Whatever it is, that's your obstacle. And here's the truth. Obstacles don't just slow you down. They stop the 99% dead in their tracks. But you're not here to be stopped. You've got the hunger to learn, the curiosity to ask better questions, and a system to make growth a habit. Now it's time to face the barriers head on. Because if you want to stay ahead, if you want to outpace the 99%, you've got to learn how to push through the things that hold most people back. Overcoming obstacles isn't just part of self-education, it's the heart of it. We've talked about building a personal learning system, a structure that turns your desire for growth into reality. But no system, no matter how well designed, works without resistance. Life doesn't hand you a clear path. It throws distractions, doubts and chaos in your way. The 99%, they see obstacles and quit. They say it's too hard, or I'll try again later. The 1%, they see obstacles as tests, opportunities to prove their commitment. Every time you push past a barrier, you're not just learning a new skill or idea, you're building resilience. You're forging a mindset that says, nothing will stop me from growing. That's the real edge. Let's start with one of the biggest obstacles, procrastination. How many of you have said, I'll start learning tomorrow? Raise your hand. Be honest. We've all done it. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear disguised as delay. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of the effort. Fear of failing. The 99% let that fear win. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect plan. But the 1%, they act. They know the perfect moment doesn't exist. So here's how you beat procrastination. Shrink the task. Don't aim to read a whole book. Just one page. Don't try to master a skill. Just practice for 5 minutes. Starting small tricks your brain into moving. And once you start, momentum takes over. What's one tiny learning step you can take today? Say it to yourself. Commit to it. That's how you kill procrastination. One small action at a time. Now let's talk about distraction. Life is noisy. Work, family, responsibilities. They all compete for your attention. The 99%, let those demands dictate their day. They say, I can't learn because I'm too busy. But the 1%, they guard their time like it's gold. They steal moments. 5 minutes in the morning, a quiet lunch break, a few minutes before bed. You don't need hours. You need focus. Try this. Pick one distraction you can cut today. Maybe it's mindless TV. Maybe it's saying yes to things that don't matter. What's one thing you can say no to, so you can say yes to learning? Shout it out. Make that choice. That's how you reclaim your time. That's how you stay ahead. Another obstacle, self-doubt. How many of you have thought, I'm not smart enough to learn this? Raise your hand. It's okay. That in your head is loud, but it's a liar. The 99% believe it. They think learning is for smart people, or young people, or people with time. The 1%, they know learning isn't about talent. It's about effort. You don't need to be a genius. You need to be persistent. So when that doubt creeps in, talk back. Say, I don't know this yet, but I'll figure it out. Then take one step. Read one page. Ask one question. Try one thing. Doubt fades when you act. What's one thing you've doubted you could learn? Say it to yourself. Now commit to taking one step toward it today. That's how you silence the doubt.
Let's talk about information overload. There's so much out there, books, podcasts, conversations, ideas. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, like you'll never keep up. The 99% freeze. They try to learn everything and end up learning nothing. The 1%. They focus. They pick one thing at a time. They go deep enough to understand and move on. Here's how you beat overload. Prioritize. Ask, what's the one thing I need to learn right now to move toward my goals? Focus on that. Ignore the rest. Quality beats quantity every time. What's one topic you're going to focus on this week? Say it out loud. That's your anchor. That's how you cut through the noise. Now let's address comfort zones. The 99% love them. They stick to what they know, what's easy, what's safe. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you stretch, when you tackle something new, something hard, something that makes you sweat a little. The 1%, they seek discomfort. They know every challenge is a chance to learn. So try this. Pick one thing that scares you a little. Maybe it's reading a book that feels too advanced. Maybe it's asking a tough question to someone you respect. What's one uncomfortable learning step you can take this week? Say it to yourself. Commit to it. That's how you break out of your comfort zone. That's how you grow. Let's talk about failure, because it's going to happen. You'll try something new and it won't work. You'll ask a question and the answer will stump you. The 99% see failure as a reason to quit. They say, I'm not cut out for this. The 1%, they see failure as a teacher. Every mistake is a lesson. Every setback is a chance to get better. So when you fail and you will ask, what did I learn? What can I do differently? Then try again. What's one failure you've had that taught you something? Shout it out. Own it. That lesson is part of your growth. That's how you turn failure into fuel. Here's a challenge. What's one obstacle you're going to tackle today? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Maybe it's procrastination. Commit to reading one page. Maybe it's distraction. Cut one time waster. Maybe it's self-doubt. Take one step towards something you've avoided. Write it down. Say to yourself, today I'm facing this. That's how you start. That's how you build resilience. That's how you separate yourself from the 99% who let obstacles win. Let's talk about stories. Think about someone who overcame incredible odds to learn and grow. Take a woman who grew up with no formal education, working long hours to survive. She taught herself to read at night, by candlelight, after her kids were asleep. She asked questions, sought mentors, built a system. Today she runs a business, inspires her community, and teaches others to do the same. What made her different? She didn't let obstacles, poverty, time, doubt stop her. She pushed through. You have that same power. What's one obstacle you've overcome in the past? Say it to yourself. That victory is proof you can do this. That's proof you're already on the path of the 1%. Now let's talk about persistence. Obstacles don't go away. They change, they shift, but they're always there. The 99% expect an easy road. When it gets tough, they quit. The 1%, they keep going. They know growth is a long game. They know every obstacle they overcome makes them stronger, sharper, better. So when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you feel like giving up, remember this: every step forward is a win. Every moment you choose to learn, to push, to grow, you're pulling ahead of the 99%. What's one thing you've kept at, even when it was hard? Shout it out. That persistence is your strength. That's what makes you unstoppable. Let's get practical. How do you face obstacles every day? First, anticipate them. Know that procrastination, distraction, doubt, they're coming. Plan for them. If you know you're prone to putting things off, set a timer for 5 minutes and start. If you get distracted, create a quiet space for learning. If doubt creeps in, keep a list of small wins to remind yourself you're capable. Second, reflect. At the end of each day, ask, what obstacle did I face? How did I handle it? What can I do better tomorrow? That reflection turns challenges into lessons. Finally, celebrate. Every time you push past an obstacle, give yourself credit. It's not about big wins. It's about consistent effort. What's one small win you can celebrate today? Say it to yourself. That's your fuel to keep going. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Overcoming obstacles isn't just about learning. It's about who you're becoming. Every time you push through procrastination, you build discipline. Every time you silence doubt,
you build confidence. Every time you face failure, you build resilience. The 99%, they're shaped by their obstacles. They let them define their limits. The 1%, they shape themselves. They use obstacles to forge a stronger, wiser, bolder version of themselves. That's the real reward. That's what keeps you ahead. Here's something to consider. What's the cost of letting obstacles win? If you give in to procrastination, distraction, doubt, where will you be in a year? In 5 years, will you be proud of that person? Or will you look back and wish you'd fought harder? The 99% don't ask those questions. They avoid them. But you're here because you want more. So take that desire and turn it into action. Make overcoming obstacles your non-negotiable. Say to yourself, I am someone who pushes through. I am someone who grows. I am someone who will not be stopped. Let's address the doubters in your head that say, I'm not strong enough, or I can't handle this, or what's the point? Those are lies. You're stronger than you know. Every obstacle you faced in your life, every heartbreak, every setback, every moment you kept going, proves it. The 99%, let those win. The 1%, tell them to shut up and get to work. So when doubt creeps in, remind yourself you've overcome before, and you'll overcome again. What's one obstacle you're facing right now? Say it to yourself. Now say, I've got this. That's the mindset of the 1%. Let's talk about the joy of overcoming, because this isn't just about grit. It's about growth. There's a thrill in pushing past procrastination and reading that one page. There's a spark when you cut through distraction and focus for 10 minutes. There's a deep satisfaction in facing doubt and proving it wrong. That's what overcoming obstacles does. It makes you feel alive. The 99%, they're stuck, frustrated, defeated. The 1%, they're energized. They know every obstacle they conquer is a step toward a bigger, better life. Here's a final challenge. What's one obstacle you're going to face this week? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Make it specific. Maybe it's starting that book you've been avoiding. Maybe it's saying no to a distraction. Maybe it's asking a question that scares you. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, this week, I'm pushing through this. That's how you overcome. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you become someone who doesn't just learn, you thrive. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the person who faces obstacles, who grows, who rises? Or are you going to let another day be stolen by doubt or distraction? The choice is yours. But let me tell you something. If you want to stay ahead, if you want to live a life that inspires others, overcoming obstacles is your proving ground. It's where you show the
World and yourself what you're made of. And when you do, you don't just build a life of growth, you build a legacy of knowledge, impact, and purpose. That's what's waiting for you. That's what you're building, one obstacle at a time. What kind of life do you want to live a decade from now? Go ahead, say it out loud. A life of purpose, impact, freedom. Now, let me ask you this. Will you get there by coasting, by settling for what you know today? The answer is no. The 99% drift through life, hoping for a better future without building it. But you're here to create something extraordinary. You've learned to educate yourself daily, to fuel curiosity, to build a system, to conquer obstacles. Now it's time to see the vision, the life you're crafting by staying ahead, the legacy you're building with every question you ask, every lesson you learn. This isn't just about outpacing others. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and leaving a mark that lasts. We've talked about overcoming obstacles, the procrastination, doubt, and distractions that stop the 99% in their tracks. But pushing through isn't enough if you don't know where you're going. That's where vision comes in. It's the picture of who you're becoming, the life you're building, the impact you're creating. The 1% don't just learn for the sake of learning, they learn with purpose. They see a future where their knowledge, their growth, their resilience shapes not just their own life, but the lives of those around them. That's the difference. That's what keeps you ahead. That's what makes your life a legacy. Let's paint that vision. Imagine yourself 10 years from now, someone who's committed to learning every day. You walk into a room and people notice, not because you're loud or flashy, but because you're sharp. You've got insights from years of reading, wisdom from countless conversations, strength from every obstacle you've overcome. You're not just successful, you're fulfilled. You're solving problems others can't,
Because you've built a mind that's curious, disciplined, alive. Your family looks to you for guidance. Your community respects you. Your work inspires others. That's not a fantasy. That's the result of choosing growth over comfort, day after day. What's one word that describes the person you want to be in 10 years? Say it to yourself. Hold on to it. That's your vision. Now let's talk about what this vision means. Staying ahead isn't about beating others. It's about mastering yourself. The 99% chase external markers, money, status, applause. They think that's what success looks like. But the 1%, they know real success is internal. It's the confidence of knowing you're growing. It's the clarity of understanding the world. It's the joy of living a life aligned with your values. When you educate yourself daily, you're not just collecting facts. You're building a mind that can handle anything. Challenges become opportunities. Setbacks become lessons. That's the life of the 1%. That's the life you're creating. Let's get real for a moment. How many of you have ever felt like your life could be more? Raise your hand. Be honest. That feeling is your vision calling you. It's your heart saying, you're meant for something bigger. The 99% ignore that call. They settle for routine, for safety, for good enough. But you're answering it. Every book you read, every question you ask, every obstacle you overcome is a step toward that bigger life. It's not about being perfect. It's about being purposeful. It's about saying, I'm going to grow today because I want a life that matters. What's one thing you want your life to stand for? Shout it out. That's your why. That's what fuels your vision. Now let's talk about the ripple effect. Your growth doesn't just change you. It changes everyone around you. Think about your family. When you're curious, disciplined, resilient, you model that for your kids, your spouse, your parents. You teach them what's possible. Think about your work. When you bring new ideas, sharper skills, better questions, you inspire your team, your colleagues, your customers. Think about your community. When you share what you've learned, when you lead by example, you lift others up. That's the power of your vision. It's not selfish, it's a gift. The 99% focus on themselves, their comfort, their limits. The 1% focus on impact. They know their growth creates a wave that touches everyone. What's one person you want to inspire with your growth? Say their name to yourself. That's part of your legacy. Let's talk about legacy. What does it mean to leave one? It's not about fame or wealth. It's about influence. It's about the ideas you share, the people you teach, the lives you touch. Imagine a young person watching you, learning from you, growing because of you. Imagine a problem you solve because you took the time to learn. Imagine a conversation where your wisdom changes someone's perspective. That's legacy. The 99%, they're too busy surviving to think about it. The 1%, they live for it. They know every lesson they learn, every challenge they overcome is a brick in the foundation of something bigger. What's one way you want to be remembered? Say it to yourself. That's your legacy taking shape. Here's a challenge. What's one action you can take today to build that legacy? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Maybe it's teaching someone something you've learned. Maybe it's starting a project that matters to you. Maybe it's asking a question that sparks change. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, today, I'm building my legacy. That's how you start. That's how you make your vision real. That's how you separate yourself from the 99% who never look beyond tomorrow. Now let's talk about the cost of not having a vision. If you don't educate yourself daily, if you don't push to stay ahead, what happens? You stagnate. You become irrelevant. You wake up one day and realize life passed you by. The 99% don't see it coming. They think, I'm fine. I know enough. But fine is a trap. Fine is the slow death of potential. The world moves forward. And if you're not growing, you're falling behind. You're not just missing opportunities. You're missing meaning. You're missing the chance to live a life that inspires, that matters, that lasts. What's one thing you'd regret not doing if you stopped growing? Say it to yourself. That's the cost. That's what you're fighting to avoid. Let's talk about the joy of this vision. Because staying ahead isn't just about discipline. It's about fulfillment. There's a thrill in knowing you're becoming better every day. There's a spark when you share an idea that changes someone's mind. There's a deep satisfaction in looking back and seeing how far you've come. The 99%, they're bored, stuck, chasing distractions to fill the void. The 1%, they're alive, they're engaged, they're They're living a life that feels rich and purposeful. That's what your vision gives you. That's what daily learning builds. What's one moment of growth that made you feel alive? Shout it out. That's the feeling you're chasing every day. Let's get practical. How do you make this vision real? First, clarify it. Write down who you want to be in 5 years, 10 years. What do you want to know? What do you want to achieve? Who do you want to inspire? Keep that vision where you can see it, on your desk, in your journal, in your heart. Second, align your learning with it. Every book, every question, every action should move you closer to that person. Third, share it. Talk about your vision with people you trust. Teach what you're learning. Inspire others to grow. That's how you turn a vision into a legacy. What's one step you can take this week to clarify your vision? Say it to yourself. That's your starting point.
Now let's address the doubters in your head. Say, I'm not special enough to leave a legacy, or I don't have time for a big vision, or what's the point? Those are lies. You don't need to be famous or brilliant. You just need to be committed. Every person who's ever made a difference, every teacher, every leader, every parent started with a choice to grow. You have that same power. The 99% let those win. The 1% tell them to shut up and get to work. So when doubt creeps in, remind yourself your vision matters. Your growth matters. Your legacy matters. What's one doubt you're going to silence today? Say it to yourself. Now say, I'm bigger than this. That's the mindset of the 1%. Let's talk about responsibility, because this vision isn't just a dream, it's a duty. You have a mind, a heart, a life. To waste them is a tragedy. To grow them is a gift. The 99% see learning as optional, something to do when they feel like it. The 1%, they see it as a moral obligation to themselves, to their loved ones, to the world. When you educate yourself daily, you're not just improving your life, you're honoring it. You're saying, I was given this potential, and I'm going to use it. That's what drives the 1%. That's what builds a legacy. What's one way your growth could honor the people you care about? Say it to yourself. That's your responsibility in action. Let's talk about the long game. Your vision isn't about next week or next year. It's about a lifetime. Imagine a decade of daily learning, curiosity, resilience, thousands of moments where you chose growth over comfort, purpose over distraction. Now imagine the 99% doing the same thing they've always done, never questioning, never growing. Who's going to be living a life of impact? Who's going to leave a legacy that inspires? It's not even close. That's the power of your vision. It's not instant. It's not easy, but it's unstoppable. Here's a final challenge. What's one thing you're going to do this week to move toward your vision? Go ahead. Say it out loud. Make it specific. Maybe it's reading a book that aligns with your goals. Maybe it's teaching someone a lesson you've learned. Maybe it's writing down your vision for the first time. Commit to it. Write it down. Say to yourself, this week, I'm building my future. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you create a legacy. That's how you become someone who doesn't just live. You lead. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the person who grows, who inspires, who leaves a mark? Or are you going to let another day slip by, settling for less than you're capable of? The choice is yours. But let me tell you something. If you want to live a life that matters, if you want to be remembered for the difference you made, it starts with a decision to learn every day, to question, to push, to never stop growing. That's your vision. That's your legacy. And it's waiting for you to claim it. One choice at a time.